Hi guys, welcome to 9.6. We're talking about the quadratic formula. So up until now, we have worked with different ways to solve quadratic equations, and today we're going to use the quadratic formula. Our essential question: how do you solve quadratics with the quadratic formula? All right, we're going to skip the warm-up for the video. So far we've learned to solve quadratics by, well, first we learned by graphing. Okay, then we learned by using algebra, right? Just solving it like an algebra equation. And then we learned by factoring. All of these have their uses. Some of them work better than others. You can always graph, but it's time consuming. Algebra only works for certain situations. Factoring only works for certain situations as well. And so that leaves us with the times where these don't work and graphing gives us a weird number, right? Because we won't always have nice, easy numbers. So when we are out of options, we turn to the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula, x equals, remember these are, it gives you your answers, right? So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to remember this? Repetition, repetition, repetition. I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys don't do the homework to this, there is no chance that you will be successful. Okay, you have to do the homework. You have to practice this concept. If you practice, it will become fairly simple and straightforward for you. All right. So our key here, we need to make sure our equation is in standard form before we begin. So let's just practice. In this case, is it in standard form? No, it is not. Our first thing we need to do, we need to rearrange it, right? The 7x goes in the middle, not at the end. Now it's in standard form. Okay, with this one, it's not in standard form because the 9's on the other side, so 4x squared plus 5x, and then we're going to subtract the 9 to get it over, equals 0. And this one is in standard form. Yay, standard form, because it's x squared, x, and then the constant. All right, so what are the solutions? Use the quadratic formula. Let's go ahead and let's just copy this over so we have it. Whoa, that's big. Sorry. All right, here we go. Just like this. All right, first step here. The first step is to define what's A, what's B, and what's C. So in here, A, there's technically a 1 out in front, right? B is -3, and C is -10. Once we have those numbers, we're just going to rewrite this formula and just put the numbers where they go. So x equals negative b. Now b is -3. Be very careful with your double negatives there. Okay, and then the plus or minus, big old square root, then b squared. Parentheses again are very important. So our b is -3. So when we see a b, we put in -3, right? So b squared minus 4a, well, I know a is 1, and then c, which I know is -10. All over 2 times a, which is 1. Now, please don't try to do this all at one time. Let's just take it piece by piece. Minus 3 would be +3, plus or minus the square root. And I'm going to deal with the square root in just a second. The bottom here, 2 times 1 is 2. All right, now let's deal with what's inside here. I'm going to start here. -3 squared is +9. Then, calculate this out. -4 times 1 is -4. Times -10 would be +40. And already this becomes a lot simpler. So 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 40 is 49, all over 2. All right, now we keep going here. 3 plus or minus the square root of 49 is 7, over 2. All right, now we have it seemingly as simple as we can get it. Now remember, there are two answers, and so here's where we kind of split it up a little bit. We need to do 3 plus 7 divided by 2, and then 3 minus 7 divided by 2. All right, so 3 plus 7 is 10 divided by 2, so one of our answers is 5. Okay, 3 minus 7 is negative 4 over 2, so our answer is negative 2. So those are our two answers. All right, now the next one, quadratic formula to solve. Again, I'll copy this over so we have it. First up, define your A, B, and C. So our A is 3, our B is negative 17, and our C is 11. Oh, I'm sorry. First step, is this in standard form? I skipped the first step. Is this in standard form? Yes, in our case it is. Okay, good. So our numbers are okay. Otherwise, your numbers are going to be wonky. All right, I'm going to pause the video, and you write out the quadratic formula, and I'll write it out, and we'll see if we match. We'll come back in just a second. Pause the video. All right, we're back. Do a quick check of what you have compared to what I have. Now we're going to simplify. So we have 17 plus or minus a square root. I'm going to deal with that in just a little bit. Let's move down to the bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. All right, now I have to deal with what's inside here. Negative 17 times negative 17 would get you 289 if you bring your calculator to the problem. All right. Now, negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Times 11 gets you negative 132. All right, so when we continue that, oh, I'm in a different color here. Oh, well, roll with it. 17 plus or minus a square root. 289 minus 132 is 157 over 6. Now, this is gross, isn't it? Life is full of gross numbers, and it's our job. At this point, we can't do the square root of 157. That's not very nice. And so it's at this point that we break it up. 17 plus the square root of 157 over 6, and 17 minus the square root of 157 over 6. Okay, your calculator can do this. Do the top first, and then hit enter, and then divide by 6. Okay, so we're going to do 17 plus the square root of 157, enter, or equals, times 6. You have to do it in that order, or else it will, order of operations will make it do weird things and not get you the right answer. All right, so with this one, when we added, we got 177 point, we'll call it 0.2. Make sure you get the same answer. Good luck graphing that and figuring that out. All right, this is why we do it. And then 17 minus the square root of 157, enter, or equals, and then divided by 6 gets you 0.75. Or I guess we could have just done 0.7. That would have been fine too. Okay, on to the next one. When we start off, is it in standard form? Yes, it is. Awesome, we can carry on. The A value is 1, the B value is 4, the C value is negative 15. All right, again, we're going to pause the video, and I'll meet you back after we have put it all into the formula. All right, check your answer, or check what you have, make sure it agrees with what I have. In this case, since 4 is positive, we don't really need the parentheses, but you'll never go wrong by having the parentheses, so I always encourage that. Negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared is 16. Then negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Times negative 15 would be positive 60. All over 2. Okay, negative 4 plus or minus the square root. Let's see, when we add those together, that's 76 divided by 2. Again, the square root of 76 is not nice, and so at this point we break it up. Negative 4 plus the square root of 76 over 2. and negative 4 minus the square root of 76 over 2. Okay, calculator time. Negative 4 plus the square root of 76 equals, divided by 2 equals 2.4. There's one of your answers. And then negative 4 minus the square root of 76 equals, divided by 2 equals, we get negative 6.4. So those are our two answers. All right, the next one we're going to skip over just for the sake of time. We're going to move on to the last problem here. Make sure it's in standard form again, right? And it is. It's a little bit weird though, isn't it? So our A value is negative 3. What's our B value? Uh-oh, we don't have a B value. So there's no B value, so we put 0. And then our C, that just the number is 27. All right, I'll see you back here in a second. Go ahead and put it into the formula. All right, double check with me that you got the right thing. All right, negative 0, well, that's just 0. Plus or minus the square root of 0, negative 4 times negative 3 times 27. That's a big number. 324, positive 324, all over negative 6. Okay, we keep working here. 0 plus or minus the square root of 324 over negative 6. Now, I wonder if the square root of 324 is a nice number. And it is. It's 18, actually. And so here we have x equals 0 plus or minus 18 divided by negative 6. Okay, at this point we branch off. Now, do we need the 0 right here? Well, let's just keep it for simplicity's sake here. 0 plus 18 over negative 6. 0 minus 18 over negative 6. All right. This is just 18 over negative 6, which is negative 3. So that's one of our answers. Then over here we have negative 18 over negative 6, which is 3. So our final answers are actually just plus or minus 3. All right, now what happens if this would have been a negative 324? Well, we can't take the square root of a negative number. If you ever get a negative inside your square root, first off, double check that you did it right. But then if you're confident that you did it right and there's still a negative inside your square root, that means that there's no solution. Because we haven't learned about imaginary numbers yet. So for us, it's just no solution right now. That's only if there's a negative inside your square root and you've double checked your answer and it's still a negative. All right, your worksheet, the 9.6 day 1 worksheet. Key thing here though, guys, this worksheet, there's some that are not in standard form. All of our practice problems were, but the worksheet, it has some of them that you have to get it into standard form first. Okay, and once you've got it into standard form, then just, here's your formula. Do A equals B equals C equals, put them into that formula, and away you go. Take it step by step. All right, that's 9.6 day 1.